Welcome to the WRAL Daily Download. I'm Luis Fernandez. I wish smell-o-vision was a thing because today's story is a stinker, and that's a technical term. For years, Holly Springs and Apex residents have complained about a strong odor coming from the nearby landfill. In recent weeks, concerns have grown as the smell gets stronger. WRAL News reporter Heidi Kirk has the latest on this story. Heidi, thanks for being here.
Louis, thank you, and what an intro.
We're going to have some fun with this one. Let's start with the landfill itself, right? Where is it? How long has it been there?
Absolutely. So I was digging into this story over the last few days. I was kind of getting to know the lay of the land, if you will, out there. And the landfill has been there since 2008, and it's been controversial from the start. If you look into our WRAL archives, the first article, I have it pulled up on my computer right now, says, "Controversial landfill open." So it has been a hot topic for, many years now. I mean, really decades, since 2008. And it is situated right in between Apex and Holly Springs. If you look at it on a map, it's hard to tell which one it's actually in, but it has an Apex address, sits on several hundred acres. Again, my first time out to a landfill. And I mean, it's exactly what you'd imagine, kind of just a big dump sitting on a big plot of land.
Really, really glamorous stuff. The South Wake Landfill is technically what it is called for those of you who are curious. So how often do people complain about the smell here? Is this something that's always been the case?
So that's another thing we looked into. And if you go look back at our reported tips, you'll see that it's consistent. And, we actually got some data that we'll talk about later that shows, how many times it's been reported over the last couple decades, and it's a lot. People are always talking about this. It is absolutely ridiculous. And, whenever you go out there, you'll notice that it's situated around a lot of new builds, and it's an area that's constantly growing. I mean, we talk about Holly Springs and Apex being the hot zips. A lot of people are moving there. So I think that over time, more people are reporting it. They're talking about it because more people live over there. And I mean, you know how it is when you live in a neighborhood. It's one of those things where if one person's talking about it, it's going to be on the minds of more people. And so it's a hot topic over there. Everybody knows about it. We went and toured around the area, and there's not a door that we knocked on where someone did not know what we were talking about.
Okay, so let's take your personal experience here, right? You've been there. You've hung out around this southern part of Wake County. You've talked with people. What do they say specifically about this odor? And using your own experience, what does it smell like?
Absolutely. So, of course, whenever I rolled up to the area, I thought, okay, let's step out of the car and let's take a big whiff. Let's take it in on our own. Any good reporter, it's what you've got to do. So, I've received these emails, phone calls, I've been talking to people. So they had kind of given me an idea of what to expect. But I step out of the car, and I mean, it's stinky. It's stinky, Louis. It smells like you're standing next to a dumpster. I mean, truly, there's no other way of putting it. It's not glamorous. We knew this digging into this story from the beginning, but it's exactly what you'd expect. And so, I'm walking around trying to talk to people in a couple neighborhoods that are within half a mile of the landfill. And, you walk up to the door, and the first thing I noticed is there's not a lot of people sitting outside, and there's a reason for that. And I do think we showed up on a day that was a little bit stinkier, which I've learned since then. It ebbs and flows. There are periods of time where half a mile away, you don't smell it at all. And then what I learned through reporting this story is there's periods of time where you can be 2 miles away from this thing and you can smell it. I mean, that's a pretty significant distance. And so, whenever I was door knocking and just chatting with people, I asked them, what does it smell like? What periods of time do you notice that it's worse? A lot of them had to say that whenever it's moist out or there's been a lot of rainfall, they start to notice that smell kind of wafting in a little bit. So to answer your question, it's stinky. It doesn't smell good. It smells exactly what you would expect whenever you walk up to a mound of moist trash. And that's something that is hanging over these neighborhoods where hundreds of people live.
Let's go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, why the smell complaints are growing and what the Division of Solid Waste and Recycling has to say. Welcome back to the WRAL Daily Download. We're talking with WRAL News reporter Heidi Kirk about a landfill in southern Wake County and the folks living in the area who have concerns. Now, Heidi, we've kind of had some fun about this. I mean, we're talking about stinky trash. It's kind of a funny story. But it's pretty serious for people who live in this area. You've provided us with a wonderful graph that you can see on WRAL.com. Essentially, it shows pretty big spikes in complaints in the fall of each year. But this year, the spikes came a little earlier. What is the problem? What is causing this jump in complaints?
You got that right, and I want to hit home. We're joking about it because it's a silly story. I mean, anytime you're talking about trash and a stinky landfill, it's kind of goofy. But let's be real. If this were you and I's place, I mean, like, it's not fun to live through this every single day. So, I mean, the gravity of this story, it sounds silly, but this is a real issue that these people have been dealing with for a long time. So, the first question I had for this division that, works with the landfill is, why? Why are we seeing this recent spike? So they had a few reasons for us. They said typically you see the spike around early August, as you mentioned, and that's because it has something to do with the wind direction. Whichever way the wind is blowing, and during that period of time, we notice it blowing, I believe it's southward to where a lot of those developments are getting kind of the waft from the landfill because of how the wind blows. So that's one reason for it. But then this year we saw it a little bit earlier. And the main reasons for that is we've had a lot of rain this summer. Everyone in Raleigh knows it. We've had, weekends where it's been a total washout. I've been trying to go sit at the pool and you just can't get out there. So all of that rain has something to do with this. So it gets on the trash, and again, not a glamorous topic, and it makes it moist and stinky. And so when we've seen all that rain, it's just kind of compounded the issue. Another one, which I thought this was really interesting, Wake County is growing. We've talked about Apex and Holly Springs, and because of that, they've had to open a new section of the landfill. And so there is more trash that basically is on a horizontal field with some of these developments. So, in the past, some of the trash is kind of built up to a different level to where maybe that waft is not kind of coming in that direction. But because it's kind of on the same level playing field, it's easier for people to kind of pick up that smell. So recently they opened this new section, and it's causing people to notice that smell a little bit more. So those are kind of the big two things. But, I mean, there's a lot of reasons that can play into it. And whenever I talked to the director, he essentially told me, there's a lot of factors. We spend a lot of our time looking into what exactly is contributing. But they said that the main way they kind of measure how bad it's gotten is how many complaints they get. So when you look at that graph and you see, oh, wow, in July, there was more than 100 people that reached out to them. And that was way up from just a few months ago, whenever it was like 10 to 12 people. So you can really see how these small things have a pretty big impact.
You mentioned speaking with the director. Is the South Wake Landfill doing anything to help with the odor? Is there anything they can do?
Absolutely. And so this is what I really appreciated with talking with John Robertson, who, again, is the director of the Division of Solid Waste and Recycling Services. He told me that, hey, it's a bad situation for all of us. And I appreciated the transparency there. He said, we have been dealing with this since the landfill opened in 2008. We're well aware of the complaints. We are well aware that there's an issue, and we know that we need to fix it. So if you look back even a decade ago, they were working on implementing some of these solutions. One of the things that they did is they put on vaporizers and some things, technologies in place to kind of dissipate the smell. We actually got to see them in person today when we were at the landfill. So basically you're driving down and you see kind of these little spouts that's spraying like a mist or a water. It was really interesting. And he said, stick your head out the window. It smells like bubble gum. And I stuck my head out the window, and sure enough, I mean, it smelled really great, and we're standing next to trash, so that's saying something. So it's kind of the solution that you might expect them to have, just like you might put like a deodorizer in your car or in your room. That's kind of what they're doing out there. But obviously that happened many, many years ago, so they're working on upgrading some of those technologies. So they're taking the things that they had, and they're making sure they're putting better safeguards in place to make sure it's working better, that it's up to date. That is one of the biggest ones. Something else that they're doing is they're making sure that they're working during periods of time that they can kind of mitigate the smell a little bit better. So when you think about it, if you're working out there in a period of time where, there's a lot of moisture in the air, you're kicking up kind of that trash, it's making more of a smell. They're trying to figure out, okay, when can we work at periods of time where we won't kick up that smell as much, or when we know the wind conditions are blowing them toward the development, let's not work then. which I thought was really interesting. They seem like very simple fixes, but he said overall, there's still areas where they don't know exactly what to do. And they were very transparent in that. And they said, our team is working all of the time to figure out what the next thing is. And this really hit me. I asked pretty candidly, hey, are you doing everything that you can do? And he said, we absolutely are. We feel like we have hit this problem head on. It's really a challenge for us. But he was like, I care a lot. And I said, why do you care so much? And he said, because I want to be a good neighbor. I don't live in this neighborhood. But he said, no one wants to smell trash outside their neighborhood. And so I do think it's something that they're really focused on, that they want to do right. But it's a big issue, and it's clearly persisted for long enough that it's not going to go away overnight, but they're working on upgrading their technology. They're aware of the issue. They're trying to be innovative with it and look at other types of solutions. They mentioned working with other contractors that have expertise in this, and hopefully we'll see some solutions down the line.
It's so interesting that you have this problem, but you're seeing these very unique solutions to try and solve this. So hopefully for the people living in this area, those solutions will continue to grow and things will smell a little bit better.
I hope so.
That's WRAL News reporter Heidi Kirk. Heidi, thank you so much. I'm Luis Fernandez. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for listening to the WRAL Daily Download and for making us part of your morning routine. Another great way to get WRAL News is the Morning Briefing newsletter. It's a daily email with Triangle news, events, and headlines to help you get ready for the day. Sign up at WRAL.com/newsletter.